there, I am Shannon65 from eCigForums.com, eCigaretteForums.com. I'm not sure the exact URL, but anyway, I am back with the Ramiya R2-750 that I won from Analog Alternative. And I've been using this for a few days now, and I thought that I would give an update and show my ugly mug on video. So, we start off with something that's really interesting about this e-cigarette. You can turn the battery on and off. This helps to conserve the battery. So let's say you're vaping at work and you go out, and vape outside, or if you have long breaks in between when you vape, you can turn it off and save your battery life, which is really cool. So anybody who orders this, one thing that can be a little bit confusing when you first get it, it comes fully charged, but it also comes turned off. So when you get it and you put it all together, you might push on the button and try to take a drag off it and get nothing. That's because it's turned off. And you have to turn it on when you get it. And the way that you do that, the button, you just push it like 7 or 8 times really fast. I'll hold it up and hopefully you can see it. I can't see how this looks on the video because this is on an iPad, and unless I want to be completely backwards and have the writing be backwards, I have to do this video so that I can't see. So here we go. I don't know if you can hear my cats wrestling. I have stupid cats. Anyway, sorry. Let's turn this on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you see that blinks. And I should be on and all set to vape. What I currently have in here right now is Halo Menthol Ice, 12 milligrams of nicotine level. I like to keep my nicotine level low, even though I was a pretty heavy smoker for over 20 years. For myself personally, I find that it's not so much the nicotine that was my issue that kept me a slave to analogs so much as it was the physical act of smoking. It was hard for me to stop that. So, before I demonstrate how well it works, I want to talk a little bit more about the battery. This battery comes from Japan. It's not a Chinese battery. So that makes it pretty unique. I think pretty much everything, pretty much every other electronic cigarette is made completely in China. I think that parts of this are made in China. I know the batteries from Japan, and I am pretty sure that it's actually manufactured in Korea, and that is where it was designed, and the concept for this particular technology that's included in this electronic cigarette was developed, which makes it very unique, because pretty much everything else that I'm aware of, at least, comes from China. And if I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me on that, aside from mods, of course. So this is a 750 mAh battery. I think that's similar to the Rivas, maybe. I'm not sure. This is the only fatty battery that I have. It was the first larger battery model that I was interested in, to be honest, because I like the smaller ones. I like the KR808D ones. I really like my Halo G6. That's a really good kit too. And that's what I had been using up until I got this, and I've actually been using this a lot. A lot. I really like it. Um, Even though it has an atomizer, because as a rule I do not like atomizers. I call myself the Queen of Burn. Queen of Burn and Leak, it should be, because if an e-cigarette will burn, I'll find a way to burn it. And any of it, it doesn't matter, the filling, the atomizer, the battery. If I can fry it, it will be fried, if it fries easily. And normally, the other tank setup that I had juice all up in my mouth, all over my fingers, running down the battery. Oh, it was a hot mess. So I'm not a fan of tanks. However, this has a really, really nice tank system. It does not leak. And I'll talk about the cartridge, the tank cartridge, as well, to explain what appears to be the reason why it doesn't leak. But onto the battery. Alright, as I showed you already, you turn this on and off. According to the information that I have read about the Ramiya, if you put this down and just leave it for a while, it sort of goes into a kind of sleep mode. And it has like an internal energy conserving mechanism in there somewhere. So it doesn't, it doesn't waste up your battery life. Now, if you utilize the on-off feature, and you're supposed to be able to use this battery for up to 3 days, and I would imagine the higher amount of time would be for some that isn't like a really steady chain vapor. I don't think that I could do that because I chain vape. But this does generally last me all day long. I got it on Saturday, and I've fully charged it 3 times, I think. And it doesn't take that long to charge. I think it's just maybe 2 hours, roughly, give or take, before the light switches color to indicate that it's charged. Another thing about the battery, it's able to regulate the heat and the amount of energy that is going to it. So if you're charging it and it's done charging, it's not going to take in any more power and continue to charge after it's fully charged, which can be really dangerous. You can end up with a missile, shooting out of your USB port in your computer. I read about that on the forums, actually, that someone had a flaming battery, shooting like 2 feet of flame out of their battery because it had gotten too hot. Supposedly you will not get that with this. It will not take in more energy that makes it unsafe. It regulates itself, and it will not give out more energy than it is supposed to. So when you're using it, it won't release more charge than what it's supposed to. So it self-regulates, which is really cool, and a very good safety feature to have, because you don't want 2 feet of flame shooting out of your battery and catching your stuff on fire. I don't know if I'd ever use an e-cigarette again if that happened to me. So this is good for that. Now the atomizer also supposedly has a heat sensing feature where it will cool itself down if it gets too hot, which helps if you are someone like me that burns the bejesus out of everything, that's possible to be burnt. And that is what I do. I am the queen of burn. So it's a little something special and different about this e-cigarette. Now to the cartridge. This thing is really, really neat. It's hard to see. I could try to show you, but you're very unlikely you're going to be able to see it unless you actually have it in your hand. But there's a very thin chamber on one side of this tank cartridge that does not have liquid in it, and I'm guessing that's an air chamber for when you drag on or puff on the e-cigarette. It brings the air up through from an area where the liquid is not housed, and there is a backflow system that's up in here. I can't really explain it other than there seems to be like a little gap with air in it where you can draw out the air, but the liquid, you can't draw out the liquid. So you're not sucking up this juice that's right here. And on the other end, you only have a really small, less than the size of like a really small earplug, just a tiny wad of the filler that goes in the top, that goes between that just keeps the liquid from just pouring out, obviously. So it doesn't soak up all the liquid, makes your liquid last longer, it doesn't waste the juice, and this is really snug. It fits in really tightly, not so tight you can't get it in and out, but because of the way it's designed and set up, you don't have it leaking from the mouthpiece because of that air chamber, and you also don't have it pouring out because your filler's overflowed, because it's sopped up too much and it's squeezing out when you push it in. You don't get that with this, which is really, really cool.